President Donald Trump appeared to have a bit of a senior moment in the White House while talking about the future of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Take a look.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him, but they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned.
Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, what was the senior moment there? I don't know what you're talking about. Hold on. So he said, look, yes, Jerome Powell, what a terrible Fed chair. And I was very surprised when he was appointed. Really? Oh, I'm very surprised that Joe Biden put him in and extended him. Huh, well, you know what? You ain't the only one who was surprised to hear about that, because it turns out that the reality is a little bit different.
President, there are a few decisions more important than nominating leaders of integrity and good judgment to hold trusted positions in public office. And few of those trusted positions are more important than the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Accordingly, it is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. Congratulations, Jay.
Whoopsie.
That was back in 2017. Okay. Donald Trump appointing, who was that? Jerome Powell. Okay. Wow. Way to go. Stupid. No, but you know what? Maybe he just forgot. I mean, it was a long time ago. Wow. So yeah, of course, maybe he just forgot he was president and appointed Jerome Powell. I don't know.
I'm cognitively there.
You know what? That can't be it. Can't be it. Because he's cognitively there, everybody. All right? He's a very smart person.
And then they say, there's Donald Trump, an intellectual. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that?
How did you do that? And that was, of course, what he said about his cognitive test. Okay, that he aced. He aced a cognitive test, everybody. And it's actually that AOC and Joe Biden should be tested. That's it. Again, he loves his IQ test. He loves his cognitive tests, and he loves bragging about not being. I mean, look, you saw the video, okay? I really do think that there is some sort of dementia going on here. I don't know, or maybe he just can't keep his lies straight. I don't know. But wow, that is amazing. Just amazing. Okay. Yeah, that's our president. All right. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Anyway, social media weighed in on this one. And of course, social media doesn't really disappoint here. K Bizzle writes, this is severe cognitive decline. Forgets his own decisions. Contradicts himself hourly. Can't track basic facts. He needs a neurologist. We need a new president. That's what we need. Another says, Dementia Donnie strikes again. Simple as that. All right. Another asks, sir, why do you not remember you, Donald Trump, appointed Powell in 2017 and not Joe Biden? Did you make a mistake in nominating Powell in 2017? I mean, look, he could argue that, oh, yeah, I totally made a mistake. Wow. Turns out I don't hire the best people. But then, of course, he would have to admit that he doesn't hire the best people. So, can't do that. Oh, no. No.
Can't let that happen.
And so, but anyway, this social media user asks, why do you want to remove him now? Why did you have to ask House Republicans? Are you unable to make a decision yourself as president? Maybe, or maybe he's too lazy. I don't know. And finally, I think a better question here came from Covey, who said, it's not even a question, but an observation here. Reporters in that room just stood there and listened to that man lie about Biden appointing Jerome Powell as Fed chair and said nothing. Exactly. That's kind of the problem here. Why do you think, though, that those reporters are allowed to be in that room? Because they're spineless and they won't ask questions. They will not correct the baby. And so, and there's a reason. If you do correct the baby, you are thrown out. But anyway, why don't we get into the reason here that Trump wants to remove Jerome Powell? He wants lower interest rates. Now, I believe that Trump wants to lower interest rates so that Trump can pay less on whatever outstanding loans he may have. I mean, again, when it comes to Trump and his motivations for things, it usually comes down to whatever helps Donald Trump save money or whatever helps Donald Trump look good. Okay, whatever helps Donald Trump in whatever way, he's going to do it. Okay, but anyway, as far as his personal finances go, back in September 2020, the New York Times noted that Trump is personally responsible for loans and other debts totaling $421 million, with most of it coming due within 4 years and having no obvious way to repay them. So now Trump's made a lot of money since then, okay, and avoided a lot of responsibility. And so, again, that's old news. So why am I bringing up old news? I mean, especially the fact that, back in December of 2020, for example, he owed about $330 million to Deutsche Bank, due in 2023 and 2024. Obviously, it's 2025 now. So why am I bringing up his past debts? Well, look, he paid off a loan that he had on 40 Wall Street this year, which set him back about $160 million. That is a pretty big chunk of change, okay? And his latest financial disclosures from 2024 that I could found that he still had between $346 to $455 million in liabilities, otherwise known as debt. Okay, now some of that debt, I should say, is a result of some of his loans. Okay, his other debt also comes from court judgments against him, like what he owes E. Jean Carroll. Now, that's important because if a good amount of that debt is tied up in loans, then yeah, he's going to be very interested in lowering interest rates so that he doesn't have to pay as much on those loans. You see where I'm coming from here? Now, there are other arguments, of course, as to why he may want to lower interest rates. For one, maybe a lack of understanding how the economy actually works. But it also could be like, okay, maybe if you lower interest rates, it obviously makes money easier to borrow for corporations, for companies, for people who maybe want to get a house or a car or something like that, right? And if that is allowed to happen, well, then that would help the economy, make it look like it's getting better, things are speeding up and all that. And so that makes Trump look good. He can make an argument of, hey, look, the economy is fantastic. Look, more people are borrowing money for houses, more people are borrowing money for cars and all that stuff. And it's those lower interest rates, right? Now, the problem, of course, with that is that you lower interest rates, that's going to raise inflation. Inflation, kind of a big problem, okay? And so that might work against any stimulation of the economy. And so, look, inflation, big problem. It's been a stubborn problem and one that the American people are keenly aware of. They're not happy with inflation. They weren't happy with inflation under Biden. They're not happy with inflation under Trump. And look, another problem, another complicating factor here also is the on-again, off-again tariffs. Okay? And so, look, clothes, furniture, bed linens, they're among some of the goods that jumped in price in June, according to federal government data. You also had toys. Price of toys actually increased about 6 times faster in June than it had in the 2 months prior to that. And the reason is, of course, is that a lot of the stuff to make toys, or a lot of toys themselves, are imported. Okay. And again, that's a result of the Trump on again, off again tariffs. In fact, they contributed modestly to the rise of inflation last month, analysts told ABC News, citing the price hikes in product categories made up primarily of imports. But they did add, they added that overall price increases, i.e. the inflation in other parts of the economy, were owed largely to a rise in both housing, which again, lower interest rates might help with that, and food products with little connection to the tariffs. And so there are plenty of reasons why he would want to, or why he is pushing to have Powell lower that interest rate. Now, again, if he does, and he knows this, that's why he's not doing it, that's going to make inflation worse and could slow down the economy. And so, and not only that, but look, they do not want to lower interest rates because they don't know how Donald Trump's on again, off again tariffs are going to have an impact on inflation. Last week, Powell had admitted that, yeah, we probably would have already lowered interest rates if it weren't for Trump's tariffs. So there's that. Now, another thing that could decide if they lower rates ultimately after all is the job market, which looks strong, yes, but looks can be deceiving. Goldman Sachs chief U.S. economist David Miracle wrote this week that, quote, while the labor market looks healthy, it has become harder to find a job. Okay, well then, if it's healthy, then that's not a good thing, okay? If it's hard to find a job, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is healthy, okay? So the economy might look great on the outside, but actually not be great. CEOs are not planning on hiring more people right now. I mean, you've got a lot of different factors, one of them being AI. It's sucking up the jobs and the power and the water. And so you've got that. And again, all this economic uncertainty surrounding tariffs. And so I'm not really anticipating a rate cut anytime soon if things continue on their current path. And I am by no means an economist, so things could change. But anyway, getting back to Trump here, what if he ends up firing Powell and putting in someone who will lower interest rates anyway, because that's ultimately what he would want to do, right? Well, I think even he knows that firing Powell will end up doing more damage to the economy than you could imagine. I mean, again, just the threat of firing Powell caused a massive sell-off in the markets and ironically made interest rates go higher. Oops. So for now, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think now, for right now, all you're seeing is Trump having bluster, rage, and maybe some dementia. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.